Well, it's back to rain and cold. We've been at 80 degrees yesterday. And I think, let's see, I think on Sunday or Monday it's supposed to snow. So it's incredible weather. I don't know. It just sure is strange than what it's been in the last 4 years here. It's just much different. So, I don't know. We went maybe 2 or 3 days without having to start the wood stove, and then this morning I started it up. The problem is it's not really hot enough to start up the wood stove, so when you do get too hot, you end up opening a door or a window. It's not something I like to do. It's like just wasting money to me. So, been watching the other YouTube channels, trying to be careful, you know, trying to figure out exactly what's going on with these guys. And they're not making a lot of videos. These lawnmower repair videos, they're just not making very many. As a matter of fact, the one that makes one every Sunday, he skipped it one day. And then there's another guy. He made one on a push mower, but man, he hasn't made hardly any videos. There's this gal, and she hasn't made any videos about lawnmower repair. She's made videos about warranty recalls and that kind of stuff. And then there's a guy in Canada, and he's been making things on lathes, so he hasn't been working on lawnmowers at all. So, kind of tells me they're not that busy, which I find totally strange. This is my second year doing this, and we've been significantly busy. I think we went 1 week where we didn't have a lot to do. I mean, we had, I think, 1 or 2 items that come in, but nothing big. Maybe a pressure washer. And then on Friday, a bunch of stuff came in all at once. We got 4 mowers all on the same day come in, riding mowers. So we had 2 zero turns and 2 riding mowers that day. So just constantly swamped. It's interesting here in, you know, March, April time frame. You know, we're not getting consistent business, not everyday business, but when we do, it just seems like it just swamps you. So I wrapped everything up yesterday. That was Wednesday. This is Thursday. I got to make a delivery of a leaf blower and a weed eater. Same guy. I got to take that back tomorrow. But everything else is finished. So the 4 mowers that came in are all finished. The first one mower wasn't hard to do at all. It was just bad gas. So we just had to drain the gas, and I put more gas in it and started up, and he was off and running. The other mower, let's see, the other riding mower, needed a new carburetor, a new belt. Then we had a zero turn for service, and that just, you know, changing the oil and that kind of stuff. That's sitting there. Got our tarp up. That made things a lot easier. It's gonna make things a lot better. I'm gonna get a bigger tarp, I think, though, so it goes out further, because the water is hitting the patio. So I don't like that piece of metal there having to drain that away. So we'll get a bigger tarp. But again, I did all my work yesterday underneath this tarp. Worked fantastic. I mean, there was a little bit of misty spray because it was a huge thunderstorm, but I could do it. Of course, it was 80 degrees too. I wouldn't want to work in it today. And then we had another zero turn that had a serious problem, expensive problem, I should say. I mean, it was easily fixed, but it was very expensive. Now we're just got to get all this stuff returned to the customer. Of course, this has been sitting here forever, these two. This is the same guy, and I don't know when he's coming down. He hasn't said. I don't think he knows when he's coming back down, but he lives, I guess, in Kansas City or something. So I start him up every now and then. I don't start that one at all. I started it once and I'm leaving it alone because he only wanted it welded and a belt replaced and the blade replaced. So I'm not going to take responsibility for it running. This one needed a new carb. Well, it needed a new carb in the end, but I started occasionally. This one just doesn't like to start when it's cold. If it's 70 degrees out, it starts on one pull. 50 degrees out, it takes several pulls. So that is just strange to me. I mean, the choke works, everything's working. Just very strange. So Well, you know, the other day I was talking about having the money to do this lawnmower repair business, and a lot of people want me to, you know, get a shop or build something, or, you know, like this tarp. That's what I was specifically talking about, was this tarp. No, you need a wing too. And yeah, I could build something. I mean, I don't want to. Like I said, I just cut down the trees, put in posts, concrete the posts into the ground. It would be quite the project, and it would probably be a couple $1,000s. And I think this is why people can't afford to do their dreams, can't start a small business, just can't do anything because they never have the money. I mean, that's not what my problem was. I've always wanted to work on lawnmowers, always. And in the past, I had a shed or garage. It was a nice 2-car garage detached from the house. I did a lot of work out there. And it was kind of nice because if I spilled gas, it didn't stink up the house like it was an attached garage or something. So one of the stalls was so I could work in, and the other stall was to park the car in. Later we got 2 cars, so I would have to move a car out in order to do any work, but you get the idea. But I could have started a business in that, but I didn't have the money. I had the building, the thing I was supposed to have that everybody tells me I have to have, but I didn't have the money. I would have to go get a loan. So, you know, people tell me I have to have an inventory. I tell people all the time that I order parts. It takes a week to 10 days to get their mower returned to them because I got to order parts. And commenters will say, well, no, you need inventory. People shouldn't be waiting around for that stuff. I mean, it's not like you can go to your local AutoZone and pick up a part. You have to, you know, get it from a supplier, a dealer, or something. But then you have to have a warehouse, someplace to store this stuff. So that's overhead, that's cost, that's stuff that you gotta maintain, have insurance on, all that stuff. Then you gotta have the money to support that. And then if they make the part obsolete or revise the part, then you got to throw away your inventory and buy new inventory. I wouldn't want to do that either. So I don't see why people just assume that you got to spend tons of money and you got to do it like everybody else. And like I said, I have customers rolling in right now. Well, all these other YouTubers who have shops, legitimate shops, storefronts, don't appear to have any business. So how come I'm doing so well and I got to order parts, but I'm the terrible business owner, and yeah, I don't have a shop. I'm working out here on my patio with a tarp. I've got work coming in, but these other YouTubers, they just don't appear to have work. Advertising, I don't know if people advertise. I never see anybody advertise on anywhere. But I'm always on Facebook throwing out my name. Somebody said, hey, I need my tire fixed on my riding mower. Just this morning. I'm here. So I'm always throwing that information out. You don't see these other guys doing that around here in these big towns. So I don't know. I just don't think that having a huge investment on something that may or may not succeed is a good idea. Besides, what if I just, you know, I'm getting up there in age. Maybe I just don't want to, a couple of years, I don't want to do this anymore. Now I got this big building that I got to pay money on and have insurance on and keep electric on. For what? Can I sell it? I don't, you know, that kind of stuff. I just don't agree. I think ordering the parts and just telling the customer it'll be a week to 10 days. And when you're up front like that, I don't think any of them mind. It's not like, oh no, that's just too long. I mean, I get it if it's a car. Like I said, you can go to AutoZone for a car. You can't really do that. Heck, even AutoZone will deliver way out here even. So I don't see it. I don't agree that for a lawnmower repair business, you got to have a bunch of inventory. You got to have, I mean, that part that I just had to replace on that lawnmower out there was $260. That was for aftermarket. For the real one, it was nearly $400 for the OEM. So could you imagine having inventory on that? So I ordered it and it said it was going to take over a week. I think it was going to take 10 days. And I got it here, let's see, I ordered it on Friday and it was here on Wednesday. So you can't count the weekend, obviously. And I don't think many people expect me to work the weekend, actually. But, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it was here. I mean, and let's see, yesterday I had it fixed. No, I'm sorry, Tuesday. It was here Tuesday. I don't know, one of those 2 days. Anyway, so by Wednesday, he had the message that he could have his lawnmower back. I think that's pretty good. Regardless, the other thing, when you're talking about money, so I got a bunch of money invested in this shed, or building and inventory. Then you have a guy who has, see, every time I order a part, I let the customer know, okay, this is what it's going to cost. Now, if it's just something that I can fix on my own, like for example, that guy brought that lawnmower over and it just needed the gas changed out, I changed it out and charged him 1 hour's labor. I didn't call him up saying, you know, this is what it's going to cost. I mean, because what I had to do was I had to check to make sure the gas is actually bad, so I had to put the labor into it anyways. So, but when there's a part involved, I always call the customer or message the customer, and I wait for their approval. So when you're ordering a $260 part, well, the thing is I had to put a battery into that machine, another piece. So I had a $260 piece, a $30 piece, a $35 battery that I had to put into this machine. I had to get approval on that. So they say, okay, yeah, we'll do it. Well, so yesterday, see, this is what kind of scares me. Yesterday, I messaged him and said, hey, your mower's done. So now he has 2 mowers here, 2 riding mowers, and they're both finished. So I roughly have probably $400 plus invested in his 2 mowers. So I messaged him yesterday, and he read the message. Said, you know, sent, read, you know, all that stuff. And he didn't reply. I have no idea if he's going to come pick it up. It's quite troubling. It's quite scary, actually. So what are you going to do if you have all this money tied up in a building and inventory and overhead, and then you have a mower sitting out here with parts on it, and nobody's, you know, they're not going to pay for it? What are you going to do about that? So this makes it even more difficult to, if you're trying to do taxes and all that stuff. If you're collecting inventory, if you got a bunch of inventory and you're trying to, you know, reduce your tax payment and all that stuff with inventory, you have to include that inventory, those parts on that machine as inventory, don't you? I would think you do. So it's just, it becomes very cumbersome to deal with all that stuff when you have a lot of inventory. So I just don't see the point of it. Overhead costs, people don't think about overhead costs, but overhead costs becomes very complicated. Maintaining systems, and oh, you got to have receipts, and you got to do all. I don't need receipts. I message the guy, I tell him what the labor cost is, what the parts cost are, and they come and get it. Okay, where's my receipt? I sent you a text, that's your receipt. So when you're trying to start your own hobby business, somebody said that the other day, if it's a hobby business, then you should be getting tax deductions for that. Oh, come on. I'm telling you, people just think they understand taxes better. How can anybody understand taxes? The tax code is like 50,000 pages. I can bet you nobody's read it. I haven't. So, I get so tired of everybody telling me how to do taxes. I've been doing taxes for self-employed my entire life. I do my best. But the thing is if you start getting into all that meticulous paperwork, you would have to hire someone. So now, not only do you have overhead, you have inventory, you have labor now. You have to pay labor. And then you got to keep them employed. Because you don't want to hire someone just to lay them off, to hire them back and lay them off. You don't want to do that. That's terrible. So no. There was a town I used to live close by years ago. And the Captain D's, I think it was, closed down in the town. So a family bought the place and started their own restaurant. And they advertised big time for it. And we went in there the first opening day, and they had like 50 employees in there. Just a ton of employees. and it was just me, my wife, and my daughter. That was the only people in the restaurant. Now I realized the place, it was a catastrophe. I mean, that was an absolute catastrophe. They invested all that money into that restaurant, but what about the employees? So the woman who was running the place is yelling at all these ladies, you do this, you do this, trying to keep them busy. She's trying to keep them busy because there was nothing in there. So there's somebody who really doesn't understand how to start business. You start it slow and you build up. You can't just expect to all of a sudden have everything. It's a bad mentality. I will do it like this probably for the rest of my life, or for as long as I can do it. I'm not gonna get a shop. Oh, I might get a tent or something and put over here, but I just don't see the point. I might need to expand my, pour some more concrete and expand out so I can have more mowers here. But that's about it. So if you'll click this up next box, it will take you over to my other channel. Really appreciate you check it out and subscribe. So if I can inspire you, start your own hobby business. But start slow so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.